Hello, everyone. I'll be going with explaining assignment 4, uh, the code and the solution, my codes. And I'm going to start with question 1. Question 1 is asking us to write a C program where the parent process generates exactly two children processes, such as parent process uses the wait PID function, wait for the second child process, and prints its PID and its exit status value. Um, and the first child process becomes an orphan. And it showed us the output that should be the same as the assignment. Our code output should be the same as the assignment. So I went ahead and code the, answered with the code for question 1, satisfying the requirements. You know, go ahead, my code, I concatenated code file, and here we have PID underscore T. This is just to for the children PID, children one, child 1, child 2 PID. We're going to start with creating the first child by forking, and then we're going to be orphaning the first child by exiting. And then for the parent process, it's going to create the second child, which is realistically going to, so basically we fork the first child, and then the child prints its PID and says it will be an orphan, sleep for 1 second, and then exits. And then uh, the parent doesn't wait for the first child, and it continues immediately and it's gonna print its own PID. Then it's gonna fork the second child. The parent then gonna fork the second child, um, and then that child, the second child, is gonna print its PID, and it says it will be waited for, sleep for 2 seconds, and then it will exist. The parent doesn't wait for the first child, but it's gonna wait for the second child. So the parent's code, where is it? Where is it? Here. So for the parent, it's gonna call wait PID specifically for the second child, um, which mean like the parent is gonna pause, the parent process is gonna pause and do nothing until the second child, uh, does its like 2 second sleep and exists, and then the parent is gonna give us like final report. So after the second child is done, the parent is gonna wake up. It's going to print its final line of information that includes the username, hostname, and the ID of child 1. And then the parent is going to uh, finish and exit. So realistically, this code is just about uh, showing that child 2 is properly waited for. Whereas we have child 1, it's, I don't know if you could say, skipped by the parent. And like for child 2, it's going to finish and exit, and parents are going to exit as well because it waited for it. So basically, eventually, what we notice is child 1 becomes an orphan or a zombie process. Like it's still in the process table, but when the parent itself exits, uh, the the first process uh, that is going to be like cleaned eventually, you know. So yeah, that's what our output shows. I went ahead and compiled the code. Then this is just to show the code. And here, the parent process created and showed its PID. The first child was forked and showed its PID. It printed becoming an orphan. The the first child PID is gonna be orphan, and the second child is gonna be forked. We enter the where is it? We enter when we enter the parent process. It's gonna be forked here. child created, shows its PID, and then it prints that it will be waited for it by its parent, and then the parent waits for the second child to execute and everything, and then it's gonna print parent waited for PID, um, second child number, second child PID successfully, and then yeah, that's it for question one. Okay, so now for question two from the assignment, I'm gonna go ahead with uh, in the code. So this is the code for question two. It's signal handlers. So this is the function for the signal handlers. Um, it's gonna print received signal integer control C in the parent process, and that's for the function. Now for our main method, we have we installed the control C signal handler using this prompt, this code, and then we test them by prompting testing control plus C handling, and we prompt that we should press control plus C now, and it's going to wait 5 seconds for the user to press. Then it's going to test control Z, then wait again 5 seconds, and it's going to fork a a child process realistically, and this is just for the error handling for the child process, and it's going to prompt us the error if there's any errors, and it's going to go ahead with, well, as shown in the assignment, we could use the do nothing program using exec. So using exec, we try to open the do nothing program. And if it fails, this is just an error handler. It says exec failed, and sorry, yeah, it says exec failed. If it goes through, it's going to tell us that it's inside the parent process, and it's going to wait for the child to terminate by using wait null. And here we're just going to test control plus C, control C, control Z handling after the child process terminates. And then eventually, after everything is done, it's going to indicate the parent process is closing. So if I go ahead and compile, let's do nothing first. Do nothing dot C, um, do nothing dot C, and then uh, oh, let's see. Okay, and then let's compile our code. View dot C dash dot out, and then let's show the output. Okay, so now it's asking us to press Control C and do that. Now it received the signal Control C in the parent process, so it's now inside the parent process. So Control Z, 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 and then press Control C. Now it should wait for like 5 seconds. Yeah, so it waited 5 seconds and then 5 seconds, and then yeah, it printed parent. Okay, so now with for question three, it's basically about alarm, uh, receiving the signal at seconds. Yeah. So started with setting a flag to indicate if the alarm was received. So we set uh, alarm flag to 0, and we have signal handler function for sig alarm. Um, takes the sig number hence thing and then sets the flag to indicate that the signal alarm was received. Now, in our main function, um, this is just to make sure that there's one argument that was passed, which is the second that we want. And then we're going to convert the text argument into an integer called seconds. So for instance, I'm going to pass, let's say 6 seconds. So it's going to take the 6 and like store it in seconds. Now here it's gonna fork a child process, basically what this does. And this is just error handling for the child process. And this is realistically what the child only does. It sleeps for the amount of seconds that we passed, and then after sleeping, it will send the alarm signal to its parent, um, and the child's work is going to be done by exiting. And then now inside the parent process, we have the prompt that will be prompted, alarm application running, and then it's going to say alarm, waiting for alarm to go off. And then we're just going to install our custom signal handler for Sig alarm. Here, I just included this countdown timer, it's a loop, show the seconds, and I'm just going to wait for the here. We're just going to wait for the Sig alarm signal. The parents are going to sleep here until a signal from any child arrives, and then we will like just loop just in case it's the wrong signal. So, and once the loop breaks, it's gonna print out done, and we're just gonna exit the process. If I go ahead with filing this question, assignment 4 question, the question b dot e, and let's give it, yeah, let's give it 6 seconds. Takes 5. Yeah, so it's looping. Now it should print. Yeah, thing, and it printed also done. Finished everything, so it printed done. So that should be it for question 3. Okay, so now for question 4, I'm gonna go ahead with showing code for it. For copy. So here's the code. Um, so I started with a signal handler function for sigint and sig quit. So it just tells us, prompts us, takes the sig number and tells us the signal number is caught number. And now in our main function, we're going to install the signal handler for sigint and sigquit using following code. For sigint, um, I pass it signal handler. For sigquit, we're going to set signal handler as well. And we're going to print signal handler installed for sigint and sigquit after installing these two. And then we're going to keep looping until um like we're forced to pass in the signals. So I'm gonna start by compiling it. Okay, and then output. I'm gonna start with Control C to control backspace. Oh, sorry. So actually, I'm gonna stick with Control C, Control C, Control C, Control C, and then I'm gonna literally press Control Z. It's gonna terminate here. Terminate. It terminated here. Control C, Control C, Control C, and then Control Z. It received the signal. Control Z terminated the program, the loop in the program. Yeah, so that should be it for this assignment and this question. And thanks a lot for your time and take care. Goodbye.